Another popular summarization calculation that you can put into your pivot tables is what we call the running total. And your running total can be used for revenue type fields, profit fields, it can be anything, but it always involves a time element. And what it's used for is to be able to look at your data and look down the list of days, or it could be months, it could be quarters, it could be whatever, and be able to look at any point in time and actually see how much you've accumulated in revenue, let's say, or how much you've accumulated in profit up to whatever point. So let's take a look at this. So let's go back and we'll click on Insert. We'll go to our pivot table. We'll hit OK. And we're going to bring in, first of all, the order date as our row field. So we'll click on, we'll drag that down in there. Now what's going to happen as a default is that it's going to group your order dates by year, and also by quarter, and also by month, as you've seen in the other videos. So you can see that in there. So I need to get this to where it'll show each and every day. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll click on, we'll make sure we're on one of the dates here, one of the years in this case. Go over here to Group Field and get rid of the months, the quarters, the years, and just go with days. All right, now if you do that, hit OK, it sort of does what we want it to do, but what's happened, now think about this, we have about 5 years of data. What it's done is it's taken the January 1st of every year and kind of grouped that together in here. So if we were to bring in, right now, I'll just do it at this point, if we were to bring in the revenue, which would be the total sale here, into the values area, that number that you see there is how much we've done on January 1st of, let's say, 2022, plus January 1st of 2023, and so on and so forth. So that's what it's done. And you'll know that too by just, if you look at the very bottom of your list here, it just goes down to December 31st. So you don't end up seeing it go back now to January 1st, January 2nd, and continue on. So that's how you know. Now, how do we get this to ungroup? Well, what we'll do is we'll click on any one of the days here, and then we'll go back into our Analyze tab, and here's the trick. This is a really good one here. You click on to Ungroup, and when you click on Ungroup, there you go. So now what happens is as you scroll through this, you'll see we get towards the end of the year, and what happens? Now we're in the next year, say 2023, and 2024, and so forth. So that takes care of that part. So what we're looking at right now is what we did on January 1st of 2022, and then whatever we did on January 2nd of 2022, that's what you'd see there, January 3rd and January 4th. Now what I want to do is set up another column here that will show here that total, right? But then here it'll show the total of these two, here it'll show the total of these three, here would be the total of these four, and that's how we're going to get our accumulated or our running type total for the revenue. So what we do here is we just bring in the revenue field again. So the T sale, we bring that in a second time here, all right? And now on this one, we're going to make this into our running total. So we'll go ahead and just double click the field heading. We'll go to our show values as, go to our no calculation area there, and then what we'll do is we'll scroll down here, and eventually you'll see the running total in. That's what we want right there. So we click on the running total in, and then it wants to know what it's based on. Well, in this case, it's based on the order date field, so we leave that there. Usually it's good with picking it automatically, but just kind of watch it. Just make sure that whatever this is, whatever that field is what you've got chosen there. All right, you hit OK, and you'll see that. Now, just to kind of test this, we can actually just select these two numbers there, look at the bottom here, it tells you we got about, what was that, about 468,000. Well, there it is. There's the number, see? And then these three add up to that there. Not bad. Now, let's say that we want to have alongside of this the profit. So we want to see our running total with revenue and our running total for profit. How much profit have we accumulated, you know, throughout the year, right? For each of the days, right? So we need to go ahead and create that that field because we don't have it here, as we've done probably about 100 times already. We'll go back into Analyze. We'll go to Fields, Calculated Field. Up here, we'll just type in PR for profit. And then in the formula area, we're going to tell it that we want what? Total sale, right? Minus total cost. Just double click each one of those, right? Hit OK. And there we go. So there's our profit. And you'll see that field appear here. So now we're going to bring in that field again. So bring that down into here. Make sure it's at the very bottom. You can either do what I just did there, and I just messed it up. Or what you can do is pull this up a little bit so you have a little bit more room. Oh, I guess I did okay. And I'll rearrange that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there we go. Now, on this one, we want to make this into a running profit, right? So we'll double click that, go back to our show values, and then we're going to pick again from the list that same one called running total in, right? Click onto that. And this is still based on the order date. Hit OK, and there we go. To test it, we can select maybe these three. All right. Down below, 273,000 there, so we know we did that right. So then what we can do is we can go back in here and relabel these, reformat these. So we'll double click onto the first one here. This is going to be called revenue. And then we'll format it with number, commas, no decimals. Hit OK a few times there. Double click this one. This will be our we'll just call it maybe RR for running revenue. And then the format, we'll go back again to the number, no decimals, comma, hit OK. There we go on that one. And then this one here, we'll double click that. This will be our profit, all right? There's profit. And of course, we'll go down to the number format. Number, oh, that's already formatted, so we're good there. So hit OK on that. And then for this last one, we can just rename that one. We'll just maybe call it running profit or RP, right? Enter that in, there we go. We could format this as well by going over to the design. You know, pick a color, whatever you want. We'll go maybe with yellow, all right? Green, we'll do green. I don't like that either. I'm never happy with these, you know? So maybe we'll do this green here, nice and thick. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll do our banded rows, so we get a little bit of border action there, as well as maybe banded columns, kind of make it look like that, make it easier to read. Now you might look at this later and say, well, I love how I can see the running total on a daily basis. That might be just a little too much, all right? Maybe kind of squeeze it down a little bit. And how about if we were to look at this on a weekly basis, all right? So each row would represent the first week, the second week, the third week, and so forth. How would we pull that one off? Well, what we'll do is we'll click anywhere on the current dates, whichever one you want. We're going to go back to Analyze. We're going to go back to the Group field. And this time around, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to days, get rid of months, all right? But now, go over here, and we're going to group the days by every 7 days. So we're going to bring that up to 7. So days 7, right? Hit OK, and there we go. And by doing that, you're going to have a much less tall pivot table, and you're going to be able to get through all the years in not too many rows there. So not too bad. Now, that would be doing it by 7-day increments. How about 30-day increments? All right. So while we're still here, we'll go back to the group field. We'll bring this up to 30. Something like that. This is where it's going to get a little tricky because obviously each month, for the most part, has a different number of days. You know, we're ranging from like 28 to 30 to 31, that type of thing. So, but you get the idea. So I'll go ahead and hit OK here. And there we go. So from 1 to 30, 31 to 31, all right, and so on and so forth. So these are basically 30-day increments, and you can see how that works out, all right? And again, you keep on going with this. You say, okay, how about if we do 90-day? So almost like quarters in a way, right? So 90 days, I'll just type in 90 there, hit OK, and there we go on that one, see? So you can see it very quickly going from one year to the next. But still, it just depends on what you're trying to see. Now, another way we could do this would be to go back and click on any of the dates there. Go back to your group field. Turn this back to where we have it going by year. We'll take off the days here, but we'll go by year and by quarter. That's how we want to break it down now, okay? We hit OK on that one, and there you go. So then you can take that, and you can go back maybe into the design, go to your blank rows, and hit insert blank line, and get some groupings in there, and there you go on that. Now that would be more perfected as far as each of your quarters. I mean, it'd be the perfect quarter amount, from like, let's say from January 1st to March 31st, April 2nd, or April 1st, and so forth. Now, you could also replace the quarters, let's say, with the months, if you want to do it that way. In this case, what we would do is we'd go back, make sure you're on one of the time elements there. Go back to Analyze, go back to your group field, all right? Take off the quarters and bring in the months. So now we've got years and months. We hit OK, and there we go. And you'll see this, and now what happens is it's going to reset after each year, but you'll see your running totals for the profit and for the revenue for each of the months, and you'll see that year over year over year. Now, once we've done all that, we can maybe add some pivot table filters in this case. So if I might go into the my list here, and I'll bring in, let's say, first of all, maybe the zone. So I can take the zone, put that in the filter, go for maybe the country, do that as well. Maybe bring in the rep, bring in the product name. That might be kind of useful. And maybe also the category. And why not the vendor? Okay, so we'll bring in the vendor as well. There we go. And if you wanted to kind of break this up a little bit, we could go back into the Analyze tab, hit Pivot Table Options, and then tell it that as far as the fields per column, we'll make it, let's say maybe, since we got about 6 there, we'll say 3 per column. Hit OK, and there we go. And then maybe go back up to here and just delete those 2 blank rows there. And what the heck, looks good. So now I can go back in and say, okay, I want to see just for a particular vendor how things went. So I can go back over here, pick Asian specialties, hit OK, and that would be the information, all the running totals and for the revenue and for the profit for that. I could clear that off, just hit all on that, and go back into the zone and pick, let's say, Africa, hit OK, and that would be my running totals and profit for Africa. All right, so you can really, I mean, if you think about it, if you had to come up and have to do this by hand, you know, where you didn't have the pivot table and you had to do all these calculations yourself, I mean, how much time would it take you to come up with this from this data here? It'd be crazy. And I've had students in my classes where they've been around for a while, and they used to, before we had pivot tables, they were doing this by hand, and that was a process. That was a project. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you can start using some of these tools. I appreciate you watching. Take care.